Hey everybody, welcome to Big Balls Fantasy Football, the show with powerful picks, sexy super fans, and that's really fun. I am your host, 27-year fantasy veteran, Greg Reifstick.
And I'm your co-host, Jenilee, and we are both big Bears fans, and together we are the beauty
and the beast
of fantasy football experts.
And how many year fantasy veteran are you, Zoe? Two? Probably like 2 years.
Yeah, she's been playing for like a couple years.
She's been playing for a couple of years.
It's our little mascot, Zoe. She joins us from time to time.
She plays in the Dogs League. Don't be fooled. They have their own fantasy football league. So anyway, we had a Bears victory this week, didn't we?
We did. I didn't get to see the game because I was working once again, which is unfortunate. But I did get to see the final score, and the Bears whooped that ass, and they won 37-17 against the Rams.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I thought the score would be opposite that, but our defense is improving, and their defense really disappointed them.
Yeah, I definitely did not think that the Bears would be scoring 37 points against that Rams defense.
Yeah.
Their defense is really good. So that was definitely shocking. You know, at the Chargers game, I had pegged us to score 31 points, and we didn't do that.
Right.
So I was like 1 week too early on the whole we're going to score 30 points for the first time in the season. So,
but the reason that happened was, unlike the Chargers game, Cutler, what did he do?
Well, I heard that he had no turnovers.
No turnovers. He had a clean game. Cutler had a clean game. Unbelievable. 19 for 24, 258 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. Are you kidding me? That's how you win a football game.
No fumbles either?
No fumbles, no picks, no nothing. Beautiful. Nice, clean Cutler game. Unfortunately, I'm still not putting the Cutler jersey back on. You're still not getting me to drink the Kool-Aid, buddy, but hey, thank you for at least giving us another win. And I love that Chicago fans are talking about a wild card playoff chance. Oh, us Bears fans. We just get our hopes up so high just to be so disappointed. But at least we're having somebody to root for now. I mean, it was looking like the season was in the crapper. And, I mean, we did great. Jeremy Langford was a total stud. Receiving, he went 7 for 109 yards and a touchdown, and rushing 73 yards and a touchdown. I had him on my bench. Because I had 2 better prospects at running back, and one of them let me down. God, if I had Jeremy Langford in, I would have beaten you, Cow Bears. I would have beaten you, Cash.
I had a couple like that, too, where I had some major points, like Brandon Cooks was on my bench in one league. Yeah. He was playing in my other league, so that's good. But, yeah, it always sucks when you have him on your bench. Yeah. And talking about Langford, you know, that's an interesting thing because I was talking to some Bears fans, and I was saying if he continues to play this well while Forte's out, I think, unfortunately, that guarantees the fact that Forte will not be with the Bears next year. I think the Bears are going to focus on paying Alshon Jeffrey. Yeah. They already had talked about trading Forte this season. Obviously, that didn't happen. But it's one of those. I'm torn emotionally about it because I'm happy to see Langford play well. We drafted him. That's what you want from a young guy. But this might seal the deal with Forte being gone next season, and that part breaks my heart. So.
This isn't a Brandon Marshall. He was a head case. He was a poison to the locker room situation. No. And we dump him off for some horrible draft pick, and now he's scoring his ass off on the Jets. I know that pisses you off, too. This is a situation where, unfortunately, football is a business, and Forte is getting more and more expensive as the years go on. He's going to ask for a multi-year contract, and to try and lock him in for 3, 4, 5 years.
He's going to be 30, and even though I think he has plenty left, that whole 30 thing as a running back is a thing in the league.
It is. So Jeremy Langford is the youth, and the fact that Kadeem Carey was a phenomenal 1-2 punch in this game. Kadeem Carey actually was really good. He got 56 yards on the backside of it all. So, I mean, good 1-2 punch. Yeah, one guy that's a downhill runner, one guy that's a pounder. I mean, yeah, the writing's kind of on the wall for Forte, unfortunately, and it's going to break my heart, too. Zach Miller, the big story. I know that Prost is out there licking his chops saying one-hit blunder, but 2 weeks in a row, Zach Miller. No, not the other Zach Miller that we know as a tight end on the Seahawks. No. Zach Miller of the Bears. Big old body.
Our blocking tight end.
Yes, our blocking tight end. They're using him to get open. John Fox has obviously found a secret weapon with him. Gets a touchdown and basically seals the game for us last week in San Diego. And then this week goes 5 for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. I have Barnage on bye this week. Speaking of byes, Steelers, Browns, Saints, Giants.
Last week of the byes, so thank goodness that's over.
Yeah. And I'm going to go pick him up. I'm going to roll the dice on him. What the hell? You know, what do I got to lose? If he at least gets a touchdown and 50 yards, you know.
Absolutely. He's on a roll. I
Yes.
did see his first touchdown, and I just kept thinking, how is this tight end
Yep.
running? You know what I'm saying? Like, how is he outrunning the safeties and
flew
everyone?
past everybody.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Like I said, I saw the tail end of the play, so I didn't get to see what the breakdown was there for the Rams, really. But all I'm thinking is, this is a tight end, and he's outrunning the safeties and the linebackers and everyone on defense and the corners. How is this happening?
You know, from his size, he reminds me of a tight end we used to have, but we just gave away to the Panthers.
He must be pretty fast.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously tight ends aren't the speediest guys, but he's got to have some speed because that was crazy.
His size reminds me of Greg Olsen, but even Greg Olsen doesn't have that speed.
Yeah, that was interesting to see from afar while I was working. So. And then just to talk about the Rams a little bit, the Bears did hold Todd Gurley to only 45 yards rushing and 44 yards receiving, and he did have a touchdown. So we know he's been going crazy in the rushing game, so it seemed like the Bears defense was pretty good on that. And then Foles was only 17 for 26 and 0 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So
that'll win a game for you.
That is absolutely, the Foles having 0 touchdowns is also a reason that we are into a quarterback change there in St. Louis. They are moving on and going with Case Keenum this week starting. And we've had a couple other quarterback changes in the league. The Bears are playing Denver this week, and Denver is playing who?
Brock Osweiler. I actually stopped in after watching the Bears game down at Big Wang's in Hollywood and wandered into the Broncos bar, and they were cheering for Brock by the half. They were just like, we've had it. This is nuts. And they saw Brock put his helmet on, and poor Peyton was trying to keep his helmet on and trying to look relevant, but he'd broken the record. So it was like, okay, that's it. And all of a sudden, the Denver fans started cheering, Ozzy, Ozzy, oi, oi, oi. And sure enough, he came out of the field, and he took the team down the field a few times and actually got him some scores. So I actually wish we were facing Peyton this week because he is throwing ducks and throwing picks, and we would have gotten a lot of those. But yeah, we're taking on Brock Osweiler this week. Hopefully we have enough tape on him to, defend him.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting game. And really, I think this one might come down to the Bears offense versus this really solid Denver defense.
Yeah.
And Cutler making or not making the mistakes because that Denver defense is tough. So I think it probably will come down to that. But I do think it'll be a close game, and I think the Bears will be in it for sure. And then we have one other major quarterback switch this week because of injury. Mark Sanchez will be starting for the Eagles because Sam Bradford, shocking, is injured.
Got his ass
again.
Whooped. Got his ass whooped on the play.
He just cannot stay healthy. So
I couldn't help but post a picture on our app on the player updates. He just looked like Batman. He was shook. He got his shoulder messed up. He got concussed. He just got rocked. And big shocker. Him getting injured. Now, that's what the Eagles have to put up with. They're
that whole division is a little wonky, you know what I mean?
Is.
So it's like,
One other thing to mention, Tony Romo is coming back this week, and I actually found him on a waiver wire. Unbelievable. I think it's in our league.
Yeah, well, I'm sure someone dumped him because of injuries and bye weeks. You just can't hold on to everyone who's not playing.
I have Big Ben on my bench. and I have a so-so quarterback that I had to put in his place. God, I'm hoping I get to play Romo this week. I think he's actually going to come out, doing pretty well. I think he's going to be pretty primed.
Well, it can't get much worse over there for the Cowboys.
Brandon,
I mean, they've lost every single game
Mhm.
since he went out. So
partially thanks to Brandon Whedon, who got this week. So, yeah, big quarterback carousel. If you're a quarterback in the NFL now and you're on a losing team, watch your ass. Johnny Football just got named the starter for the rest of the season. I mean, that's how crazy it's getting.
Yeah, and I think, though, with the Browns, the situation there, and I think they have to do that because they drafted him in the first round, and you eventually have to find out if that's going to be your guy of the future.
For
so
sure.
I think this is the time for them that with their season not really mattering too much at this point, not that they're totally not in it, but pretty much not in it because of the Bengals, how good the Bengals are doing. I think this is the time that you have to see, is he going to be our guy for the future? So, I mean, I think it's a smart decision by them, actually.
Yeah.
Not that they will win a lot of games, but I think it's smart because you got to find it out at some point.
Definitely. So I don't only have the pathetic picture of Sam Bradford going out. We have a lot of other hot, sexy, wonderful pictures of Jenilee and Smash over here and everybody else up on the app, of course. Get on over there to the Google Play Store and tell your friends. I know all of our big fans have already downloaded the Big Balls Fantasy Football app over at the Google Play Store and at the Apple Store. Tell them you are going to get woke up early on Sunday. We beat Fox every week. Fox is the earliest network that puts up their, ads and drops. We beat them. We beat them every week. We post them. Either Jenilee or I post them, and then Fox posts theirs. And I'm like, we're beating them to it, guys. Get on it. Get your player updates on Sunday morning. Get them during the week. Get the injury updates. We have 2 columns. We have blogs, rather, the modern way of saying it. You have Cash over there every week giving you sleepers. You have Prost over there, who's kind of turned into a nostalgia column, but goddamn it, it's fun. And he had a really good bitch fest this last week, a mid-season bitch fest, and that's a lot of fun. What else do we have on there?
You can watch our show straight from there, and we have lineup question and answers. Those lineup Q&As are awesome, and are going to come in handy for your playoffs because you're going to need this app going into your playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
I know all my friends are like, oh my gosh, I'm constantly getting notifications from you guys. It's really awesome. I know that we also had posted the firing of Rob Ryan before NFL even posted it.
That's
so that was kind of cool. So, sometimes you miss notifications from other apps and, we'll be right there for you. So
that's right. Download us as soon as you can. So we're going to get into our picks this week. And who's going first?
You will be first this week.
All right. Beasting Out picks coming up right at you. Hey everybody, welcome back to Big Balls Fantasy Football and welcome to the Beasting Out segment. I am Greg the Beast with your 2 go hards and 2 go softs as we always do every week here on BBFF. And let's just get right down to the first pick of week 11 in the NFL and in fantasy. We're getting closer and closer and closer to those playoffs, and every one of these picks is going to count. So let's get right to it. Let's get to Eric Decker over there on the Jets. Now, this guy has been studding out all season. He has a really good matchup this week. He is going up against Houston's defense. Yes, I know they got lucky finally on Monday night up against the Bengals. I don't know what the hell got on Andy Dalton's head, but Houston's defense, as I've already picked on them already, have been sucking fantasy-wise and aren't the elite defense that they were last season. Sure, up against the run they're doing well, but against the pass, they are not doing well at all. Decker has 7 touchdowns in 9 weeks of the season. That means only 2 weeks he didn't get touchdowns. Going up against this weak secondary, he's going to do well this week. He's gotten double-digit fantasy points every single week. And week 2 against the Colts, 23 points. That was his season high. Week 10 versus the Bills just last week, 20 points. This is a really great matchup. Decker has been getting you consistent points. There's no reason you shouldn't put him in. And, I mean, he's getting a lot of targets. Get him in your lineup this week. Don't miss out. My second go hard for you this week is LaShawn McCoy over there on the Bills. And you're wondering, this is a head scratcher. They're playing the Patriots this week. Why the hell do you have me putting in LaShawn McCoy? Sometimes you need to play the streaks in fantasy, and that's one thing that LaShawn McCoy is doing. 2 weeks in a row, 112 yards rushing each week. I mean, you can't not. You got to look at the numbers sometimes. You just got to swallow your pride and go, okay, guess what? You got that little red thing there in Yahoo or in CBS or whatever, and they're telling you they're going against the good run defense. Don't play them this week. You know what? If your running back is streaking, roll the dice, have some balls, and just play the damn guy. He might end only up at 75 yards, but he also might end up with a touchdown on top of that. So what the hell? You get him in there, you play him, and you ram him down your opponent's throat. Also, of course, we all know LaShawn McCoy likes to get injured at least 1 to 2 times a season. Take advantage of LaShawn McCoy while you have him upright. Get him while he's studding out, because 2 weeks from now, before your playoffs, you might be dumping him out, and for God's sake, you might be picking up Darren McFadden. You never know. My first go soft for you this week is Kamar Aiken, wide receiver there over on the Ravens. He is playing a really, really tough Rams defense that I know the Bears, handled, but the Rams, numbers don't lie. They have been doing really, really well against the passing game, and you don't want to put Kamar Aiken in. I know it's super tempting. Steve Smith Sr. is out for the season, and Kamar is supposed to be the go-to guy. But last week, up against Jacksonville, didn't look good. Did not look good. So he has his coming out party against one of the softest defenses in the league, and he just doesn't do it. That is not cool at all. Rams give up the 7th fewest points to wide receivers. They've only given up 3 touchdowns the entire season. So you don't want to be putting him in looking to not get anything. They also haven't been giving up a whole hell of a lot of yards or fantasy points to wide receivers. Don't put Aiken in this week. The Rams defense are going to bounce back this week. So my last pick is my go soft, my second one. If you have one of the Bengals running backs this season, you are not a happy camper at all. Yeah, look at these 2 mopes. First we were thinking Giovanni Bernard was going to do great. Then we were thinking maybe Hill. They keep switching off. Yes, it is the dreaded running back guy by committee, everybody. We hate it in fantasy. And the Bengals can't make up their mind because they have turned into a pass-happy offense. That's how they've stayed in the big win column. And Hill has only gotten 5 touchdowns, 0 since week 4. Giovanni Bernard's only gotten 2 touchdowns the entire season. Neither of these running backs have had a 100-yard game all season. Why the hell do you want on your fantasy team? I know you keep putting them in week after week after week. They just keep disappointing you. Just stop playing them. Go and get somebody else. You have to do like you have to do with some of your running backs and just put them out to pasture. Get somebody that's actually scoring, and that way you will have somebody set for your playoff run that we all hope you are getting in from our picks. So those are my beasting out picks this week. Let's get it on to Jenilee's Real Men. Stay tuned.
I need a real man. Have you seen him?
Welcome to week 11 of my Real Men segment. I have my normal 2 go hard picks and 2 go soft picks for everyone this week. These are some good ones, so pay attention here. My first go hard pick this week is the Panthers defense. I love this defense, but I'm not going to lie, I kind of like this team. There's a lot of ex-Bears players on this team. And in 6 games this season, they have a sack, an interception, and a fumble recovery. So they have all 3 of those things in 6 games this season. I really can't name many other teams that are doing that. So they are definitely getting you those fantasy points with the sacks, picks, fumbles. They don't have many touchdowns, but if they're getting turnovers, that's always a chance for them to get a defensive touchdown for you. Now, they are going against the Redskins this week, and I know I told you last week to play Kirk Cousins, and he had a phenomenal game against the Saints' shitty secondary, but this week he is not going to have fun against this Panthers defense. They are holding teams to 19.4 points per game, and the Redskins offense is 20th in the league. They're only scoring an average of 22.8 points per game. So I definitely see this being a game that the Redskins probably don't even score 20 points. And the Panthers are tied for the most interceptions in the league with 14. Of course, they have Peanut Tillman over there doing his thing in their secondary. So again, I just don't like this matchup for the Redskins, unfortunately, but it will get you a lot of fantasy points if you have the Panthers defense. So go ahead, get them in there for sure. Now, my second go hard pick for this week is wide receiver Tavon Austin of the Rams. And I know you're thinking, yeah, he's been really up and down this year so far, and he has. But I think he'll bounce back this week. He's playing against the Ravens, and the Ravens have given up 16 touchdowns to wide receivers this season. So they're giving up a ton of touchdowns to wide receivers. Tavon Austin had a bad week against the Bears. He definitely needs to bounce back. I know he's had no touchdowns in 2 weeks, but this is a great defense for him to be going against. I think he can definitely get in the end zone for you all this week. And the Ravens give up the most fantasy points to wide receivers out of any team in the league. So again, this is a good team for him to be going against. I know you think, well, Wes Welker's there now, so he's getting some targets. But Tavon Austin is still their guy. And if anything, it just allows the defense to not be able to pay as much attention to Tavon Austin. So maybe he can get out there with some one-on-one coverage. And as we mentioned earlier, there's been a change at quarterback. Case Keenum is now the Rams quarterback. A lot of times this kind of lights a fire under a team. Hopefully it lights a fire under that offense, and they really get Tavon Austin going a lot more. So I just think that this is a week you definitely need to put him in because we're missing some wide receivers because of this last bye week we have. Let me move it on to my Go Soft picks. Now, these are going to be shocking for you all, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, why would I sit these players, blah, blah, blah. But we are big balls fantasy football here, so we do some shocking stuff. These players do not have great matchups. I'm not necessarily telling you to sit them. You might want to if you have someone with a better matchup in, but you cannot expect crazy, crazy points from these guys. So my first one this week is quarterback Aaron Rodgers. I know, shocking. But yes, he's playing the Vikings defense at home. And the Vikings defense at home, they have held their opponents to an average of 14.5 points per game. That is pretty incredible. Also, we know that Rodgers and the Green Bay offense has been a little shaky these last 3 weeks, especially because they've been losing games. They just lost against Detroit. That was crazy and very fun being a Bears fan for me to witness. But a lot of it is because Rodgers has been sacked a lot. He's been sacked 11 times in the last 3 weeks. He was sacked 11 times in the whole rest of the season before these last 3 weeks. So teams are really getting pressure on him, which is making him uncomfortable, which is making him not get to his wide receivers. And I think the Vikings, they're smart. They're a smart team. They're getting healthy on defense. They're going to try to make him very uncomfortable in the pocket. Only one quarterback has thrown for over 300 yards against the Vikings, so that's pretty impressive. And they have not allowed more than 2 passing touchdowns in a game so far this season from any quarterback. So they are an under-the-radar type of defense, but they are playing pretty doggone tough. And this is a division game, of course, that matters a lot because the Vikings right now are in first place in our division. So this is a game that I just think the Vikings at home are going to come out strong. I think Rodgers is still going to have some problems, so we will see, but I don't think he's going to get you a ton of points this week. And my second and last go soft of this week is another shocker, tight end Rob Gronkowski of the Patriots. He is playing the Bills, and the Bills defense allows the 7th fewest fantasy points to tight ends. In week 6, Tyler Eifert, who we know has been balling out this year, only had 30 yards against them. So the Bills are doing pretty good against the tight ends. Now, another reason I think that he's a go soft is we know that Edelman is out. So that is one less person that the Bills defense has to pay attention to. If I were them, I would take that attention that I would normally put on Edelman and put even more attention on Gronk, because you know he's the dangerous target and you know that he's Brady's security blanket. So they should be having 2 or 3 guys covering him pretty much all the time. At least that's what I would do if I was a defensive coordinator. Now, I know you're saying he torched them in week 2. He had 113 yards and a touchdown, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of times what happens with these division games is the first week a player completely torches you that you play them, and you play them later in the season, and you watch that tape, you watch what you did wrong, and you watch out for that player, and a lot of times that player does not go off like they did the first time against you. So I think the Bills are definitely going to watch that tape from week 2 and learn and check out things that they need to do differently against him. And we know that Rex Ryan loves to make things difficult on the Patriots. He loves playing them. He hates that team. This is a Monday Night Football game. So this is definitely something that I just think it's going to be a little bit harder for Gronk this week, especially than it was in week 2 against those Bills. So there you go. Those are my go hard and go softs for this week for everyone. And we don't have a fan segment this week, but we might have one next week because I'm off work this Sunday. Yay! I actually get to watch football on the normal day that the games are. So we will have some fun stuff for you. But tonight we are signing out, and good luck with your fantasy this week.